I am so excited to talk about this book. You know how much I love this book.
Yes.
I read the first, prelude. Is that what you call it? The prelude.
Yeah.
I read it once through and I lost my breath. I mean, it's just so unbelievably beautifully written. I went and ran and got my son Huck and I said, I have to read you this chapter. You're going to appreciate the writing in this. And I went and I read it again. And then I just closed it and I had to like walk away for a little bit.
Walk it off.
Yeah, I had to walk out. And then you go into your first chapter, Hello from Upside Down. And I feel like the whole rest of the book, you're trying to get right side up again. So for people who haven't read this book, can you just give us a quick synopsis of what this is about?
Yes, I will. And in fact, I will tell you that first full chapter called Hello from Upside Down, the original title for this book, when I pitched it to my editor, was Hello from Upside Down.
Oh, wow.
I liked how that just sort of represented the whole topsy-turvy thing. I also am a dweeb, and I like that it had the same number of syllables as my last book, I Miss You When I Blink. Something about that seemed like symmetry. But then I got to the chapter called Bomb Shelter, and I stole that for the whole book. So yeah. Bomb Shelter is a memoir built out of essays, but definitely more on the memoir end of the spectrum than the essay collection end of the spectrum, about a 2-year slice of my life. And I have been saying that this is a book I would have written anyway, and in fact was starting to write about a lot of things that were on my mind a few years ago. I was getting into that stage of kind of mid-40s life where a lot of the things that I not necessarily had taken for granted, but things that had been pretty stable in life were beginning to destabilize. Like my parents were getting older and I was starting to feel that weird tipping point where it's like, wait, they've always taken care of me. Am I now taking care of them? That feels strange. My children were getting, first of all, they'd outpaced me in height. So I was the smallest person in my family, but they were getting closer to the age where they would be leaving the nest. They were turning into teenagers. That was rocking my world because I've always just actually enjoy being with my kids. I like my teenagers, and the thought of their leaving home had just felt like such an ending to me. My own human body was turning into this middle-aged person, and I didn't know what to do with that. So I was starting to write through some of that instability and trying to figure it all out. And as I was beginning to write that, something happened that just kicked it all into a different gear, which was that one night when my son, so I have 2 teenagers. I have a son and a daughter. My son is the oldest. When he was in 10th grade, my husband and I woke up one morning at 4:00 in the dark to this sound that we thought, in my sleeping brain, I thought it was somebody ramming down our front door. It was this bang, bang, bang. And it turned out to be the sound of my son's body hitting the bathroom floor. And he was having a seizure. So what we were hearing was his body hitting the tile floor again and again. And I tell that story toward the beginning of Bomb Shelter, the finding him, the 911 call, the trip to the hospital, and that whole day, at the end of which we found out he had epilepsy, which just came out of the blue. I mean, we didn't see it coming. So suddenly all these things I had been thinking about and had been sort of having this growing worry and anxiety about became this loud ticking clock of, oh no, he's in 10th grade. He's got 2 years until he was supposed to leave home. How are you going to get him well in 2 years? And then my brain, being my brain, extrapolated that out to everyone else. So I was like, how am I going to take care of everybody? I've got to figure out how to save my parents, and I've got to figure out how to save, my daughter, and, just complete mama bear overdrive that then spilled into all my other human relationships. So that is what Bomb Shelter is about. It's not about my son. It's not about my family. It's about my journey as a human being who loves other human beings. But it's partially my journey toward getting back to being kind of who I am at my core, which is a generally optimistic person with a good sense of humor. I just got knocked completely sideways.